medical director and plastic surgeon here at Faces Plus, and today we're going to talk about fillers and rejuvenation techniques that the younger generation is getting into now. Social media apps like Instagram and instant picture taking apps like Snapchat are kind of influencing this trend of how people are approaching aesthetics and cosmetics now. There's a line that can be crossed when people are filling their face, especially young people, because we've seen an uptick in young people getting fillers. So I wanted your perspective and your thoughts about that trend and how you would approach it.
You know, fillers play a really phenomenal role, and before we had them, we had very little opportunity to easily address volume concerns that patients had. And what's happening is, as we age, we begin to lose some of the soft tissue volume of our face because the superficial and deep fat compartments begin to degenerate, most likely from sun damage, but intrinsic aging, genetics and how we're programmed to age, our environment, etc. So one of the mainstays of treatment now has become volumizing the face, and fillers are the easiest option to do that. And they're very predictable and they're very safe, and many are reversible. The problem is that beyond that, as we continue to have our tissue decay, there's very little impact on improving that. So if we start to think about aging more dynamically and start to approach some of the changes that are occurring more scientifically, we start to think, are there ways of filling or replacing that missing tissue actually with the same tissue that's being lost? And if you replace fat with fat in the proper sizes, so it's safe, once you begin to do that, now you take advantage of the fact that fat brings with it a new blood supply, it brings with it the many growth factors and stem cells that are in fat that actually improve tissue health. By adding back mass, by definition, you've just changed the rate of tissue decay. It's a little bit like home maintenance. You wear a carpet down, you put a new carpet in. You know, it's kind of not magic. You wear your tissue down, you put new tissue in. It's going to get worn down. These are the only ways that we can actually prevent or slow down the rate of tissue decay today. This concept that we've termed injectable tissue replacement, because we're injecting it much like a filler, but it's replacing the tissue that's being lost, has the promise not only to replace but to regenerate. This approach, I think, is really going to become the way we take care of patients in the future.
That makes so much sense, and I think a lot of people don't know that that's an option.
Fat kind of has a bad name because of its variability.
Right.
But you have to flip the switch. There is nothing in the synthetic world that can make new blood vessels and can, actually restore and revitalize and regenerate tissue the way our own tissue can right now.
In the long run, the time that you take coming back to the clinic to refill your fillers, because not only do they not help you with your aging, but they're temporary, so you're spending money in places here and there every 6 months, and you're spending time, whereas you can have one procedure that takes...
Kind of a major filler procedure.
Right, like one big time filler procedure, and you'd be good for a few years, and also your tissue health is restored as well, so you're doing something
You're literally
healthy.
Reducing the rate of your tissue aging. Mm-hmm. It's exciting because right now the new strategies with anti-aging, there are drugs that people are evaluating to see if they can slow down cellular aging. All of these kinds of things heralding a new way of taking care of patients, not just in aesthetics and facial aging, but in the way we age in general. Plastic surgery has oftentimes led people into the future. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, but transplantation, the whole field of transplantation was really started by plastic surgeons in many ways, because with skin grafts, they were needing more tissue.
In the 1800s and stuff, they first experimented with putting the skin grafts onto people that had lost limbs and things like that,
and they found that they would be rejected if it was from someone else. Mm-hmm. But if it was from yourself, no problem. Or if it was an identical twin, because the genetics are the same makeup, no problem.
Back to the aesthetic part of it, it's a very natural look. putting the fat back into the face.
Completely.
And I feel like right now we're kind of switching from overdone, overfilled to, you know, how the trends always change to the opposite. So I think with the Kylie getting her lip filler removed, or some of her lip filler removed, because let's be honest, she still had some left. But I think like toning it down is going to be the new trend of like natural looking good and maintaining your natural beauty. And so the fat really works well for that too.
Very, very much so, Elise. If we're going to guide patients, we have to explain to them that no matter how much filler you put in your face, it will not take up all of the tissue laxity. It'll take up small amounts. So when you overcompensate to treat another aspect of aging, you know, you make the face look different, and you make it look, in my opinion, not as natural, not as attractive. I think it's important for us to really help to explain to patients where all of these things lie on a continuum of care.